Welcome back to the VRChat Zone podcast. We are back with VRChat news. We'll be doing this every 2 weeks, assuming that there is no new update in between. Let's have a look at today's news, April 11th, 2024. But before we get to the April 11th stuff, we do need to talk about a new feature coming to VRChat World developers, and that is Udon 2. Udon 2 was announced back in February 29th, 2024. And I want to go over this because it is for those of you who develop VRChat worlds like I do, and understand that developers also make a contribution to VRChat in some way or shape or form. So for those of you who are unaware, Udon is the way that we program in VRChat. What I mean by that, so for anything like interactive, like the light switch, the go-karts, anything that has requiring programming, Udon is the programming language. It's like saying HTML is the programming language of websites. So this is our programming language, Udon. Remember, Udon is like noodles. So let's talk Udon 2. As you can probably guess, Udon 2 is the successor to our scripting runtime Udon. It's been in development for quite a bit, and we're happy to announce it will be entering closed beta very shortly. Udon 2 will be a very powerful upgrade um, for creators, bringing support for most of the C Sharp to scripting for worlds. For those of you who are already familiar with Udon, this means things like allowing the use of list custom classes that aren't Udon star behaviors, static variables, and more. Udon 2 should enable world creators to develop more engaging experience with less effort. Even if you aren't a creator, this will dramatically improve your VR chat experience. You can expect cooler, more interactive, higher performance worlds once creators start using Udon 2. We, me, might have to. We've been pretty quiet on the development of Udon 2 so far, but as I said a second ago, it will be entering a closed beta very shortly. With that said, there is no timeline right now for an open beta, as we'll work with our closed testers to incorporate as much feedback as possible before bringing it to a large testing group. Keep your eyes open though, as we will be updating you on the progress of Udon 2 development and the bi-weekly updates in the AS forums. Oh, and speaking of AS forums, check them out. Udon 2 isn't the only thing entering the closed beta soon though. There is also Persistent, and that's another thing that we're going to take a look at right now. That is also from February 29. So persistence gives world creators the ability to save certain bits of information to individual users. This allows essentially load into a world and immediately have the world recognize them. On a small scale, world creators can use this system to allow users to save their settings in their world. So every time you jump into your home world, for example, all of your post processing, share, and mirror settings will automatically load in. World creators can also use this system to create an inventory and XP system. If you wanted to, you could theoretically create a full featured RPG in VRChat, as in make an RPG game in VRChat using persistence. Some of the possibilities with these new features unlocked go far beyond the examples here. We anticipate the creators will use persistence in novel ways that we can't quite yet predict. And we're really excited to see what happens in real time. Okay? So that is one thing that you can look forward to in future worlds that are developed by creators. Now, when we get into that eventually, we're going to take a look at how it works, how it looks like. It might be one of the VRChat World Tours Francis the Wolf does as me as Francis the Wolf. Now let's jump ahead to last night, basically yesterday, the April 11th update as mentioned. Here are some of the stuff that is on the board. If you are a Space Jam participant, the winners will be announced soon. Okay, as in today, the The event is probably already over, and you guys can see who the winners are. 2024.2.1, this went into beta. We're moving to Unity 2022.322 F1. This is a mirror version upgrade, minor version upgrade. There won't be any major new features or changes. VRChat currently uses 2022.36 F1. This upgrade contains various bug fixes, minor improvements, and reduced crashes. As a note, there is no need to update your project yet. We'll tell you when it's time. Animated emoji, VRChat Plus subscribers can now create your own. The camera has received more updates to account for animated emoji and group instance panel adjustments, and more. If you guys are interested in the beta, you may go ahead and check that out. Make sure you use Steam to do this beta. Here's what's going on ongoing development. Imposters. In late 2023, we released Imposters, a feature that allows VRChat to generate a simplified version of your avatar that allows it to be seen on non-Windows platforms like Quest. So far, thousands of creators have opted into the system, and we allowed us to improve them and make them even more efficient in recent updates. Soon, we'll be automatically adding imposters to very popular avatars that aren't very cross-platform. If that goes well, our ultimate goal is to turn this into most public avatars uploaded by creators. You can always remove them if you know how to do that. For those of you who are interested in language improvement, our systems for user profile languages have improved, and there are more many new languages that you can show you speak on your profile. A mixture of user requests from Kani, the most used language in the world, and the official languages of European Union have been added over the last few months. Yeah, and here are some of the languages include Australian Sign Language, um, Filipino, hi, that's me maybe. There is Filipino now, New Zealand Sign Language, as well as Slovak, and we also have Irish Irish Gaelic and Latvian. If you're interested in that, this is for you. Group changes. If you're into that group setting stuff, that is for you. While we're working on some bigger changes behind the scenes, we're also wanting to clear up some of the pain points around managing a community via the group system. Here are some of the changes we made to make it easier. Removing someone from a group will no longer send out a notification to the user being removed. Makes sense. Removing a user from the group will always meant a clerical tool for helping manage members who, for various reasons, may have need to be removed from the group but not banned. We decided that this didn't need a notification and have removed the logic which used to send one out. The group audit log will, of course, still have the entry about the removal. We also have warns and kicks, and group instances will now show in the group audit log. So basically for those of you who manage the group, if you do a warning or a kick out, they will put it in the audit log. Then the next one is going to be group bans will also allow an optional reason in quotation marks. Basically, they're going to let you have a reason. They put you reason for breaking rule number one, number two, all that good stuff. That's what is explained here. Then, if for those of you who are interested in the website, you can now set your status on the website in addition to your status predict description. So you see me do this all the time in VRChat Live, where I do the whole before I open the lobby, I will make my announcements on the channel. For example, if I, as Francis the Wolf, would say, "Hey, welcome to the channel," before we get into our lobbies, I'm gonna say we're gonna start our VRChat World Tours next week, and then I open the lobby. That's what I do before the lobby opens. So I do it in the VRChat. Now you can do this on the website. Obviously, without the announcement section, of course. Very, very straightforward here. Other changes include on the website, sellers in the creator economy can now cancel and refund a buyer's subscription themselves from the marketplace dashboard. They also fixed an issue where the group post images would scale improperly. They also fixed the lagging. Um, they also have the fix up the roles for the group leaders and stuff, and error messages will now display to the users, and password reset, and all that good jazz. Now, for those of you who are developers, that is for you now. That is for us developers here for VRChat. So, World DSDK development kit. Many of the custom editors in the World SDKs have been updated, allowing multi-edit saving, drop down drop down preferences, and hiding older deprecated fields. So that is what you have here. We have VRC Pickup, one of our favorite scripts. We have Portal Maker for those of you who want to do Portal, and VRC Seed Descriptor. They also have the component menu here, shown here, and a help URL documentation link is now on the board there. For those of you who use Client Sim's tools for persistence, which is that other feature we learned about a few minutes ago. We're still working on persistence, an upcoming feature for VR Chat World SDK that allows saving and loading data. As persistence heads towards closed beta, we're building tools within Client Sim to make it easier to create, test, and debug persistence in your own world. You may remember that player persistence has two main interfaces: player data as a global dictionary and player objects for one or many game objects with Udon behaviors when sync variables and components. Player data tools. For player data, we have clients and player data window which allows offerings the following functionality shown here. So basically, that is the data from the local player as shown here in this example. We have a few types of data like bool, which is true or false. U bytes, color 32, double like a number double. A float with decimal, integer or int, or long. Quaternion, a byte, a short, a string. String is basically words. Unit, a measurement, U long, U short, vector 2, 3, 4. Vectors are like directions, like amplitude and all that good stuff. You're gonna learn this more in math, in a regular like calculus math class. That's a vector. Shown here, saves your loads player data from a JSON file, which is automatically created and saved into your project. Shows the current keys and values for the local player. Shows the current keys and values for remote players selected from a drop down. A button to clear existing data so you can start over if you change the schema. A button to refresh battles values if they edit the JSON file. A crazy play in play mode, and a button to on a folder containing your player data JSON files. So each scene in your project will have its own JSON file, JSON player data. So you can swap between scenes and maintain your last working values. We will add a functionality to enable you to manage multiple JSON for a single test purposes. Player object tools. That is again part of the persistence. Player objects are more complex to simulate. Instead of a single key value table, they can involve many Udon behaviors, including components like VR object sync and an asset hierarchy. So shown here is an example of that. Okay, copy and pasting improvements in the Udon graph. So Udon graph programming assets. You can now copy and paste groups and comments in a Udon graph programming asset. These two items are stored in different way to allow all the other nodes, and do not fit neatly into the serialization formatted we have for the graph. We dug in and warped some of them so they paste between graph programs as well as shared in forums, etc., in their string format. Additionally, groups now have the right click context menu to cut, copy, delete, and duplicate, and comments will now highlight with a blue outline when you select them. And then finally, in terms of this particular area, creator documentation updates. VRChat creator documentation receives minor updates every week. We don't usually mention them, but here's a list of changes we made last month. Added a new page for animator play audio, VRChat head chop, component on avatars if you're into that. New page for byte and bit operators, Udon VM, virtual machine, and Udon assembly. SDK release in terms of the latest notes. On put implemented change event for argument. Add an example how to use a string loading and add Udon. Restructure the first steps of create your first avatar. Publish the creator economy documentation. You have to actually apply if you want to be a seller there. Added a session on the animator parameter mismatching. VRC stations properly in terms of how to use it, and performance for the VRC mirror reflection. Next, we they talk about the home world if you're interested in that, but we're gonna skip this section because it's basically the home world. That is the world that you get in the very first time you get into VR chat for the very first time. So you never played VR chat before. This is where you actually start by default. Once you find a world you like, favorite it, and make your home world, then you can change the home world. So this is basically homeworld material. If you're interested in this, go ahead and read the article. Now, that's it in terms of the update for the VR chat news. I do want to talk on one section, and I will be promoting this a lot more, and that is my Patreon. So as you guys know, I am starting my Patreon. Yes, I am starting I have started my Patreon, but I have not officially like wide open the thing yet. I'm gonna be using this for VRChat role creation, most likely for VRChat role creation. The game development stuff is gonna be secondary at this point because I think we're gonna start to get to that point where I'm making more worlds this year, including the Francis the Hedgehog house, which I asked you guys to vote on in terms of what do you want to see in it, in terms of his sisters, i.e. Luna and Freya, and i.e. Francis the Wolf, Freya the Wolf, and Luna the Wolf. So those are five. I mean six if you add Francis the Hedgehog. So six characters. We have a new world, right? Their home. That is be their home alongside the Moonlight House. So think of this next house as in their house, but the Moonlight House is gonna be their like gathering place, like their headquarters, if you will. But beyond that house for Francis the Hedgehog and friends, I'm gonna be making more worlds besides that house. Okay, PvP. I'm learning now about gaming worlds. We can do that. We also now have access to racing, like race, like a race, like Mario Kart. I just found about that asset. So we're gonna be making more roads this year. So if you guys want to support it, please wait until I officially open. This is open, but it's not like up to snuff yet because I still have to fix some parts of it. But once it's open, it most likely by next week. That is today's podcast. If you guys are interested, the articles will be in the description below. And if you guys are excited for Udon 2 and all that good stuff, let me know. I'm gonna do our next one. Our next VR chat world update here is going to be on April the 25th. That will be our next podcast episode for VR chat world up for VR chat updates. Unless of course they decide to update early, which has happened before. Okay, so we'll see you guys very soon. Enjoy, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night for VR chat live enjoy and enjoy.